Hi everyone. On the one side, you have a booming demand in e-commerce industries in Europe. In 2020 only, we saw an increased demand of 12.7%. On the other side, you face various challenges when it comes to actually delivering the parcels inside of Europe to your newly won consumers. Brexit, COVID crisis, and also the limited capacities of the parcel delivery companies in general just put serious challenges on the tables of the logistics managers in Europe. How are you going to cope with the challenges existing and also the ones being ahead? The answer is flexibility. Today we as Seven Senders are going to give you 5 tips on how to set up your logistics correctly so you're equipped for the challenges ahead. The first tip is know the restrictions in your target countries. It all started basically in March when the first corona wave hit Europe. The first thing we noticed in parcel delivery was that certain postal codes in Italy were disabled. So no one was delivering parcels anymore in certain regions of Italy. Later on this year, we faced a similar situation in France. We faced a similar situation over Christmas in Belgium and the Netherlands, where parcel networks were just completely full and not accepting any parcels anymore coming from Germany or other European countries. One advice that we can strongly give you: keep yourself updated about what's going on in Europe in each parcel network. We as Seven Senders developed a web page where you always get the latest updates on restrictions on parcel networks, and obviously also we can enable you to react to those restrictions. Whereas with other logistics solutions you rely on one provider only, the concept of Seven Senders as a platform is to be more flexible. So if one carrier does not deliver, this does not mean that you have to stop selling parcels to one country. But instead you can just switch the service and make sure to not lose your revenue as an e-commerce company simply because the parcel cannot be delivered to the customer anymore. The second tip that we can give you is to have one delivery partner that enables you access to multiple multi-carrier networks. Knowing the restriction is one thing, being able to act on it, that's the next step. So if there's some parcel networks that simply are not fulfilling your needs anymore and you cannot ship parcels to consumers that are demanding, then you want to have an option. With the concept of Seven Senders, you can have that option. So basically you just plug into one platform technically, but also from a business perspective, and you can seamlessly switch in between carriers if you have to. We as Seven Senders take care of labeling. We take care of contract negotiations with those carriers. So whereas outside of Seven Senders, you would have to spend months and a lot of IT capacity, a lot of business capacity, and actually onboarding a carrier, Seven Senders does all that for you. So ideally, you want to have a partner that equips you best for the challenges that you're gonna face in the future, whatever happens in Europe. Times are volatile and you just want to have flexibility. You want to have a platform instead of a one single carrier approach. That's what Seven Senders can enable you. The third tip that we as Seven Senders can give you is to choose the right local carrier based on consumer expectations. Europe is extremely diverse. You have more than 20 different languages. You have more than 100 different carriers in Europe. And also expectations when it comes to parcel delivery are extremely different in Europe. To just give you some examples, in Italy, 40% of the people still prefer to pay cash on delivery when having the parcel delivered. In France, you see a lot of people being in favor of a pickup point delivery. Also Eastern Europe, everyone is expecting you to offer cash on delivery in order to cope with the payment requirements when it comes to parcel delivery. What Seven Senders can offer you is just the flexibility to always go with the best carrier based on those consumer expectations. We do have the data, we do have the experience to let you know what you have to take into account when setting up your logistics solution correctly. The fourth tip that we can give you is to proactively communicate with your customers. So even if there's something going wrong in your supply chain, meaning, for example, in COVID times, you cannot ship the parcel to the consumer, then the first thing you want to make sure is that you know it before the consumer knows. So what we did with our software all over 2020 is basically enable our customers to see in the data that some parcels are not moving forward because there might be a delay in the parcel delivery network at whatever carrier in Europe. What they do with that data is basically use it to communicate as a shop, not as a last mile carrier, because you always want to be in charge up until the point where the parcel is actually delivered as an e-commerce shop. So what you can, for example, do is automatically trigger notifications based on that data knowledge so that your consumer does not end up calling the customer service asking where the parcel is, but actually knowing it up front. The last tip that we give you is to establish a centralized analytics tool to monitor all your carriers and all your parcels. If you use multiple carriers in Europe, which again is strongly beneficial, then you're going to face the problem that the tracking events of those carriers are not harmonized. So each carrier of the 100+ in Europe has different tracking events, which basically makes it impossible for you as an e-commerce shop to basically work with this data in one central tool. What Seven Senders does is basically pulling each tracking update from the 100+ carriers and harmonize it onto one standardized Seven Senders process. This harmonized and standardized data is being fed into our analytics tool that you as an e-commerce logistics manager can use in order to fully monitor your supply chain. Having all that data in one system, first of all, enables you to discover irregularities, and then in a second step, react flexibly to it. So what you can do is, for example, tell your customer service, this is a list of 150 shipments that's currently stuck in Italy because the carrier is completely overwhelmed and will not be capable of processing the parcel for 2 days more. So having that knowledge and being able to take action based on this is something that analytics strategically enables you to do. Are you able to tick all 5 boxes? Are you able to say that you have all the criteria in place that qualifies your supply chain solution as flexible enough? If that's not the case, then we as Seven Senders are happy to talk about your individual use case and make sure that you in the future work with the most flexible delivery partner that exists in Europe.